Welcome to the show, folks. This is Wrestling Changed My Life. Here we go.
We can endure anything and adapt and pivot and change. Wrestling gave us that ability.
I would say nothing in life has impacted me more than the things wrestling has taught me in terms of self-reflection, resilience.
Toughness. Some guys have it, some guys don't.
Adversity, 100%. How to pick myself up and be a man after I failed.
And everything that has shaped my life and where I'm at today would not be there without the values and basically the lessons I've learned through the sport of wrestling.
For me, wrestling saved my life because it allowed me to focus and channel my energy.
We're fortunate if you wrestled, because if you wrestled, natural talent helps, but it's 5% of the ingredient. It pales in comparison to heart and technique and effort.
It humbled me, taught me humility. Nothing can humble you more than wrestling. I think it's the learning to adapt, right? You learn how to adapt, you learn how to solve problems.
You know, if I look back at my time I spent wrestling, if they gave me one thing more than anything else, it's mental toughness.
Welcome to Wrestling Changed My Life. This is your host, Ryan Warner. My guest today is Coach Eric Casey, and this is a little bit different than our typical interview flow. Today we're going weight by weight, a preview of the 2019 Worlds. Now, Coach Casey is a college coach at Coe College, Division III powerhouse, represent, but he's been living in Dagestan for the past year, and he's been getting all the storylines, all the little things you need to know to dominate your fantasy picks and your fantasy pool for the 2019 World. So, without further ado, let's take you to this interview with Coach Case in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, a preview of the 2019 Freestyle World Championships that start tonight. Welcome to the podcast, everybody. We have Coach Case here, an international wrestling expert living out of Cedar Rapids. My good friend, what's going on, man?
Hey, not much. I think you kind of oversold me in that international expert thing, but I do like watching international wrestling, so I'll do my best for you.
And you also know how to pronounce the names really well, which is something I'm going to lean on here, because what we're doing, folks, is we're going to do a little preview show for the 2019 Worlds, which are kicking off in just a few days. And is it Thursday night or Friday night, Coach Case, when these things start?
I believe it'll be like Wednesday night, early Thursday morning is when freestyle gets started. I think it's like midnight or 1 Central Time, something like that.
Beautiful, beautiful. So
yeah,
your students will see the bags under the eyes during that week, during those days.
yeah. The sleep hours are going to be pretty messed up for a few days, but, get through it.
We'll get through it, baby. Cool. So we're going to keep it to just previews for the 2019 Worlds Freestyle. We saw our Greco guys had some wins, but didn't qualify in either weights. And that's, I think, the key point here is that if you place any medal, right, any medal at the Olympic weights qualifies your country for the Olympics for the next year. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, you actually just have to wrestle for a medal. So if you can get into either the bronze matches and you finish in the top 5, then you would qualify your weight. So I think just
really?
wrestling for a medal. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so there'll be, 6 guys each weight that are qualified after this, 3 on the top, 3 on the bottom. So
Yep. Okay. So, and this is also year 2 of the seeding. So I know that doesn't always pan out to be the best guys, like the number 1 guy is not the number 1 seeded guy. So we'll chat about that as well, but let's get right into it. 57 kgs. We got our man Dayton Fix going over there. It's his first senior event. How do you see this field kind of taking shape?
Yeah, I mean, this is probably one of my favorite weights just because of I think it's really deep. There's a lot of guys. You probably give the nod to Ugoyev from Russia as the favorite in the weight, but I think this is like one of those weights that you could wrestle 10 times and you'd probably have 10 different combinations of guys who are wrestling in the medal matches and stuff like that. So, Atley from Turkey is the number 1 seed. Ugoyev is 2. Takahashi, world champ a couple years ago. is the 3, Sanayev is the 4. Then like you said, you got another mix of guys. You got Fix, you got Micic in there. The guy, you and I've talked about before that I really like, Amir Aslanov from Azerbaijan.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of guys that can wrestle for a medal. So it's just going to, the draws will be huge, like any weight, but this weight especially.
Yeah. I love Micic, favorite wrestler in college probably. And I know he's kind of a freestyle specialist, so excited to see what he can do. And it's funny that the Cliff King Club, they have like 5 guys over there, and none of them are representing the U.S. So they kind of have their own little training camp going on.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how they've done that, and they almost all wrestle for different countries too. I mean,
right.
The Amines are from wrestle for San Marino, and Micic is where's he? Serbia, I think, and Pavitt, I can't remember where he's wrestling out of, but they're all different countries, but they're doing their own thing, and they're getting a lot of guys competing internationally, so it's pretty cool.
No, it is. I'm all for it. Now at this weight, you got the powerhouse countries. You got Ugaya from Russia is the reigning champ. The Iranian, did he beat Takahashi at the Asian Games, or was there a different tournament where that happened? Because I saw that Takahashi, if you look at the thing on Flow, he got 2019 Asian bronze, and then the Iranian, I think, won. So I wonder if you knew anything about him. Atri, I don't know if he's a good guy. He's been around for a while. Okay. He actually wrestled Gilman, I think, back in the day at juniors. I don't know if he was the one that beat Takahashi or not, or it might have been another guy that is in this weight that's pretty good is the North Korean, Kang, I think is his name. But, okay.
With the North Koreans, you kind of never know. They always send a pretty tough lightweight, but you never really know what you're going to get out of those guys because, it's North Korea. So, I think Takahashi will be right in the mix there. Another kind of, Erdenenbot from Mongolia is a guy who's been around, probably getting a little long in the tooth there. The Armenian that was the Euro champ at 61, Harutanyan, he's coming down to 57, so that's kind of a wild card too. Like, will he, will the weight cut affect him, or will he be right for that weight? So,
is that the guy who won at juniors this year?
No, he was a junior bronze a couple times, but
okay.
He wasn't the junior champ. The one junior champ that Yamaguchi won it at 61, but he's staying at 61.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we can talk about him when we get to the next weight. But so, I don't know. When it comes down to the Americans, I think Fix and Micic are going to be right in there. This is a weight, you talked about the seeding. This was a weight where you did have a lot of top guys get seeded, so obviously being on that top side, especially at the Olympic weights, the brackets are uneven, so the top side is the spot to be. So you have Atli and Sanayev up top, Agoyev and Takahashi down bottom, the last 2 reigning world champs, and then you're just going to draw all these guys in. So where they fall in the bracket is gonna be huge. Yeah, it's going to be huge. So that will probably determine a lot of how far Fix or Micic or some of these guys go.
So who do you have on the top side? And who do you have on the bottom side coming through?
Well, I probably would take Ugoyev on the bottom to come through. The top's interesting because it's Atli and Sanayev. Now, Sanayev was silver last year. He wrestles for Kazakhstan. It's in Kazakhstan. I think he's actually a Russian transfer, but I might be wrong on that. So if I had to pick between just the seeded guys, I would probably lean towards Sanayev, but that's where the draw comes in. If Amir Aslanov got drawn on top, I'd probably lean towards him. If Fix or Micic got the right draw up top, I could see those guys coming through. So, it'll be interesting once those brackets come out. I mean, that's kind of the crazy thing with the random draw. You never know what you're going to get.
Right. So who do you have at this weight? If you could pick anyone,
I'd take Ugoyev.
Ugoyev.
I'd
okay.
take Ugoyev.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
I think he's probably the best guy.
Who do you see finishing higher between Fix and Micic? Just again, it totally dependent on the draws, but
yeah. Boy, I don't know. I kind of lean towards Micic, honestly. I really like his leg attacks, and I mean, they both had age level success. Fix probably a little more. I mean, he's had 3 medals. He's won a junior world title, but I don't know. It's thin slicing at that point, but I would probably go Micic, I guess.
Well,
what about you?
Yeah, I'm all about one. I'm picking Ugoyev. That was my fantasy. I don't know why I picked the guy number 1 overall fantasy. That fantasy draft was a shit show, and I panicked in my first pick and picked this guy. No idea why, but still feel good about that pick. So I'm gonna pick the Russian to come out on top. But then going with Micic, he's beat Fix before, and I think the last time we spoke, we had found that he had beaten Fix in the 2 of 3 for the junior world team a couple years ago. So
yeah,
he seems like the favorite there. But I mean, Fix is looking so good this year, and Yanni gets a lot of press, but Fix is also just I guess he's a redshirt freshman now, but he's a young guy too. So we'll see. But I'm gonna go with the Russian, and then if I had to pick between Micic and Fix, I'm gonna go Micic over Fix.
All right, sounds good.
61 it is. So is the Cuban going for sure at this weight?
I think so. That's where he's listed. And when UWW released all the wrestlers and weights, they had him listed at 61. I would think by this point, you would know if he was switching weights. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. They only send a few guys and send guys at Olympic weights, and why you wouldn't send, especially at 57. They have Ortega that could have probably gone there and was good enough to qualify the weight, and now you don't send anybody to qualify it. So I guess they just are planning to try to qualify it at Pan Ams, and they'll just let Bond do his thing at 61. Maybe they just said, you're the returning champ, so you get to go at weight you want.
Dude, the crazy thing is that the Pan Ams are the week between Big Tens and Nationals. And, I mean, we can only assume at this point that Fix is redshirting. But if not, and we got to qualify that weight, man, that's going to be a crazy couple of weeks for those guys. But anyway, back to 60.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's going to be interesting to see how they qualify all those weights. But, okay, so
Idrisov seems like the guy here. I mean, I know this weight is not as deep as the Olympic weights, but
yeah,
I mean, U23 isn't, the toughest of the worlds, but he won the Euregan.
1 Euros.
Yeah.
1 Euros. Yeah.
I mean,
he's had some kind of inconsistent results at times, but he's also got a pretty high end too. Like you said, he's won Euregan, U23, he's won Euros before. So, and with just kind of the makeup of this weight, I'd say Idrisov, and obviously you have the returning champ there, Bond, who's getting older, but he's still doing it.
You know what they say about Cubans in finals matches, though, Doug? You know what they say. They say. They got to get paid over there, baby.
I know. I tell you what, I was surprised when he power bombed Rashidov in the finals last year. I thought that was going to be. I did not see that happening. So
that was going to be a little fixer.
Yeah, well, you never know. Russia probably just thought Rashidov would go out there and beat him. And then he got through on his head. So.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, like you said, not a deep weight. Idrisov will have to get drawn in, so that'll be interesting where he gets drawn in. Bond's the number 1 seed. Idrisov will get drawn in. I like the number 3 seed, Becca Lamdazi from Georgia. He was a silver to Stieber in 2016, so he's a guy that's won consistently over the years. And the other guy that we talked about before was Yamaguchi from Japan, the junior champ, putting him in there. The thing about Japan is they have a pretty good history of putting young lightweights in and doing well. I mean, you had Rei Higuchi, you had Takahashi a few years ago, Otaguro won it last year, now you have Yamaguchi who's a junior champ. So those guys, have historically sent a lightweight that you might look at and say, oh, he's pretty young, and all of a sudden, they're finishing high. So he's one that I really kind of am interested to see. He was in the Junior World bracket with Gabe Tag, I think, this year. So
got it. Okay.
We'll see where he's at with them. But, like you said, kind of not a real deep weight. So
what scares me about Idrisov is what happened to him at the Euros this year. He got beat by that guy from Turkey who Cologne had teched, I believe.
Is that right? Yeah.
I mean, it just seems
kind of inconsistent. That's probably where some of those inconsistencies come in. Yeah, that's probably where some of that comes in. So, the good thing about this weight, for a guy like Idrisov who's maybe a little inconsistent at times, or for a Graf, if we're talking about the Americans, is, it's going to be a smaller bracket for one. If you get drawn on the top, you're only going to have to win a few matches to get to that semifinal, and it's not real deep. So it'll be interesting to see who, where those guys fall in at, and with the right draw, anybody could get in the medal rounds at this weight, I think.
Well, especially since the Russian is not seeded at this weight. I mean, that's that's crazy. It could happen first round against Bond from Cuba. So
exactly.
Exactly. We'll see what happens. I'm gonna take. It's a tough one. I like the Cuban in this one. Kind of pulling for him a little bit here. I'm gonna go with. I'm not pulling for him more of a Graf, but in general, I'm gonna go with Bond from Cuba at this way. I think I just like his explosiveness. Obviously, hope Graf can come through, but
for sure,
I don't know if he's the guy to get a medal. We'll see.
Yeah, I think I'd probably lean Idrisov here, but like you said, Bond's a world champ. He could probably do it again, and I'm really interested to watch Yamaguchi to see kind of where he's at, if he's at that level yet, or if he still needs another year or two.
Absolutely. Okay, 65, absolutely loaded weight here. Man, I really like Otaguro from Japan, the reigning world champ, super young guy. You have Bajrang from India, who wrestled Yanni at Beat the Streets. Then you have the Azerbaijan, three-time world champ at a lower weight coming up. You have Rashidov from Russia. And then the Cuban has medaled each of the last 2 years as well. So, man, what a weight class. Yeah,
and Kinchinkashvili from Georgia, too, who's been a multi-time world champ and Olympic silver. So, I mean, he's and Olympic champ as well.
Olympic champ 2016, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. So, it's as far as, name recognition and excitement, this is probably as good a weight as any. You have so many guys there, and, again, here's another weight that's going to be crazy with where guys are drawn in, because you listed all those guys, only two of them are seeded. Only Bajrang and Otaguro are seeded. Haji and Rashidov, Kinchivili, Zane, Valdez. They're all going to get drawn. Yeah, exactly. They're all going to get drawn in. So that's where, and it's a huge bracket too. So the bottom side is going to be massive, and so you got to figure a lot of them will get drawn in down there. So a big push for Bajrang to get that number one. That was really helpful for him.
But he may. Who knows? He could have any of these guys first round. By chance.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. You never do know. But if you're drawing in all these different past world medalists and world champs, I'd rather be on the side where less of them, the odds are less get drawn in. But like you said, you just never know.
So if you look at Flo does this, and I kind of like it, like a tier 1 guy who you think can win. Do you put Bajrang from India in that tier who can win this thing?
I mean, I think so. I mean, he's been wrestling all over this past year. I mean, he was in the finals last year, I think. I mean, the thing obviously you like about him is that pace. I mean, he just goes and goes and has a great motor. He's going to be on the top side, so that's helpful for him. So yeah, I put Bajrang in that tier, at least to probably make the finals. I mean, I think whoever comes out of the bottom is, he's going to have a killer. And whoever comes out of the bottom, I mean, Otaguro, had a great match with them last year. And
big fan of that guy.
Me too. There's a lot of guys that you could see being able to win this weight.
I know. It's like the other tier 1 guys. It's like Otaguro, 20 years old, won the Worlds at the cadet level the same year. Is it Spencer Lee or Yanni? Which one is he close
it was
with?
Spencer. I think
okay.
Close to Spencer. Yeah.
So that guy can definitely win. Azerbaijan can definitely win. Rashidov can definitely win. The Cuban, again, depends on his bank account, but he might be able to win.
Yeah, Tobier is definitely good. I don't know if I'd see him navigating this whole thing, but but he's definitely close to going with a lot of those guys. He would,
Bronze
like a lot of them.
2 years, so it's like
yeah. He's right there. He just would have to get over the hump. But yeah, I mean,
what do you think about Zane at this weight?
Well, I mean, I like Zane. He hasn't. He hasn't had a ton of international experience. Obviously, he was a cadet world champ, I think, quite a few years ago now. But, I mean, he wrestled a super, super tight match with Rashidov. And if you think Rashidov is in this mix, which I think everybody does, then,
of course.
You'd have to say that Zane would be in the mix too. Now, he doesn't have the credentials that at a world level, senior level, that most of these guys do. So it's kind of hard to pick him to say, oh yeah, I think he's going to be a finalist or whatever. But I mean, I think his pace will be problematic for some of these guys. And I'm interested to see where he's at. I'm really interested to see where he's at. I think it's going to be, he's, the nice thing about it is he's going to get tested. You're going to find out because he's going to hit some of these guys, and we'll find out here later this week.
Yeah, this is an exciting one. And I heard someone on Twitter compare him to Brent Metcalf on the international scene, where like he's a good, solid American wrestler, but just doesn't have the style that can win. I don't know if I buy into that yet. I think he can win. I mean, he's had leads over Rashidov late in matches, so really excited to see what happens, and I'm a big fan of him. So, and I'm also a big fan of Yanni, but big fan of Zane as well. The other thing I was going to say with Russia is they must, obviously they're going for the going to qualify the weight, but Rashidov, I think we talked about this last time, did not wrestle at Euros and got beat by Shakayev, who is the reigning world medalist and has a win over Rashidov, and they still went with Rashidov. That would just be hard to fathom in the U.S., but I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you know much about that guy?
Well, Rashidov, I think, has just kind of been one of their guys coming up. I mean, he's had a lot of age level success. The silvers the last 2 years, and I think at 65 with Shakayev and Bekbulatov and some of them, they've always had good guys, but they just haven't gotten the results that they wanted. I mean, it's Russia, so they want basically gold medals and consistent medals. And Bekbulatov obviously is one guy who's never consistent, and Shakayev has always been there, but never really gotten over the hump. And so I think they probably just said, we'll just put more stock into Rashidov and we'll see what he can do.
So, man, I mean, if you had to pick, let's just say a couple guys, so for the listeners who maybe don't know the level that you do, I mean, who are a couple guys to watch? I mean, obviously we mentioned them, but if you had to pick 2 to 3 that you think could win it, and maybe your pick, who would it be?
Yeah, I'm a big Haji Aliyev guy. He's done it before. He's a 3-time champ. I know he's up a weight, but he's been up at 65 now for a little while, so I think he's probably adjusted there. I would say, the weight, to me, the favorites would be Rashidov, Haji, and Otaguro. I think those three guys would be the three that I would lean to pick. And if I had to pick one, I would probably go Haji, but I could see any of those winning it.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Otaguro just because I like the young guy in this mix. But, I mean, to your point, this weight is so freaking deep. It's going to be awesome to watch, even from the very first round. So,
yeah, I agree.
Pumped to see it get underway. Okay, 70 kgs, not the deepest weight. We got James Green from the U.S. going. Bayev from Russia is I think he's the clear number one guy here. I know we didn't spend a lot of time on this one last time, but what are your thoughts at 70?
Yeah, I think everybody kind of thinks Bayev is going to be the guy. He's, he's been kind of earmarked, I think, in Russia for a few years now, cadet and junior champ. He's beaten Green multiple occasions. I think he's the guy that everybody leans towards, winning this weight. The Georgian at this weight is pretty good. Lakobashvili, he's been a champ 2 years ago. He's been bronze before. So, got Ganzorik from Mongolia, who's, he's older, but he's still pretty good.
You know what concerns me about this weight, Coach Case?
What's that?
When I look at some of the guys listed here on Flow, the Azerbaijani, his credentials, they're light, so they're going with world military bronze, world military champ. What the hell does that even mean? Is that like their own thing, or is that like all the military people get into that thing?
No, I don't really know a whole lot about it, but it's not just military people, but it's just an international tournament those guys get in. But yeah, I mean a lot of the guys in this weight, the top guys, are just older. Ganzorik is older. Gadziev from Poland is good. He's very good, but he's older. Adam Batirov, he beat Zane a few years ago, is good, but he's old. Yeah, he's Russian, but he wrestles for
what's BR?
Bahrain or something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
okay.
But he's old. So
I would love to see Green get a freaking medal at this weight, man. I really would.
I would too. And I think he's I definitely think he will be in the mix to get it. Like always, depending upon draw, because you are going to draw in Bayev. You're going to draw in what you think is probably the best guy, Lakobashvili, probably the next most credentialed guy. You're going to draw in him too. So, you never know where they're going to fall, but I like Green's chances. It's going to be a smaller bracket. You have some guys that are getting a little long in the tooth, and then hopefully you can get a good spot and get on a low run. The Iranian there, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name. He's a tough guy. He's had 3 age level medals, but as we've talked before, I'm just always kind of questioning the Iranians. I mean, right now their whole federation is a dumpster fire.
What the fuck is that with the not being able to wrestle people from Israel? What is that? I'm so lost on the whole thing. Do you know anything about that?
Well, it's just a political thing. I mean, they don't recognize Israel as a state, so they just refuse to wrestle them. I mean, they've been doing that for forever. It's crazy.
Freaking nuts, man. It's like, dude. I mean, and then I saw one of the judoka guys. He's like, I'm not going to forfeit my match. And I think he went through with the match or the fight, whatever they call it in judo. And then Iranian Secret Service or police, whatever, called and said, we're at your parents' house. It's like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah. Well, and that explains why most of those guys forfeit, even when they don't want to.
Seriously. It's like unbelievable. I mean, and that could happen at this weight from from what I'm seeing from Twitter. So that's crazy, man. I usually am a huge fan of Iran in wrestling. I like their style, and I like how much passion the fans have. So even while I might not agree with them politically, I do like watching the Iranians wrestle. So
I do too. I just don't. They just I just don't think that they are wise with their training. I mean, their guys are literally always hurt. Everybody on their team's always hurt. They're great at age level. They're great at cadets. They're good at juniors. You know, and that might be a little bit of a stylistic thing. I mean, they're super physical. They push you around. They use that underhook, and you know, maybe the younger guys just aren't quite as adept at handling that at a young age. But you know, they have these guys that are successful at age level stuff, and then they get to the seniors and they're either hurt or they have infighting within their federation, or they're just off the map. It's weird.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll move on from this one. Before we do, you know, I got to imagine. Well, I'm just gonna let you pick, but I'm picking Baev. I would love to see Green get a medal. This is not one of the weights where I pick an American getting a medal, and we've kind of skipped over that. But you know, at a high level, I see us getting like 5 medals, maybe 6. This could be one. This is a good chance to get one, no doubt. But like, if you got to put your money on it, Green's been so up and down. So I don't know, man.
Yeah,
I just.
He has been a little inconsistent. You know, I think this weight is one that he can navigate through unless he were to get a hard draw Baev right off the bat or something like that. I think that obviously would be difficult, but I think you got to favor Baev to win it. I think Green's going to do all right though. I kind of have a feeling he's going to get that bronze.
Do you think, gun to your head, that you pick Green to get a medal at this weight?
Well, I mean, I definitely think he can. I don't know. I know he's been kind of inconsistent, but I feel like he's going to put it together for this tournament.
I hope so, man. Big fan of him. And if he wrestles like he did at Beat the Streets, man, he was on a freaking tear against Ashenault. So that's what we know he can do. And, you know, he's training with, you know, Coach Snyder and then Barrow. So he's definitely got
I think his leg lace has gotten pretty good over the years. So I think if he can get his lace going, then obviously that's a way you can really end a match quick if you can get to that lace. So that'll be big for him.
For sure. Okay. So, man, 74 kgs. It seems like there's only 3 guys everyone's talking about. I'd love to see if you think there's anyone else here, but is it Sidikov or Sidikov?
Well, I think people say it either way. I don't know if you asked a Russian how they would say it, but I always say Sidikov, but
I love this guy.
I could easily be wrong. Yeah.
I love Sidikov from Russia. I mean, the Russian who Burroughs wrestled in 2015, who he beat, and then who beat him at the Olympics, don't like that guy.
Oh, Godoyev? Yeah, no.
Don't like that guy.
Yeah.
But, so how does someone like that get knocked off so quickly? Is Sidikov just that good and is beating him in the Russian Nationals, or is it just like that guy's time is over?
Yeah, Godoyev is a weird case because he always would take these long stretches off the mat. You know, he would wrestle at Worlds and you'd never see him again. Then he'd come back and he'd maybe wrestle at Worlds and you would never see him again. You know, the other thing with Godoyev is, I mean, I always got the impression that he was, you know, pumped full of vitamin
F. Yeah, he was. Look at that guy. So, I don't get that impression with Sidikov, though. He doesn't look like that.
No, I don't either. And the other, you know, so those guys that a lot of times their bodies just fall apart or you know, who knows? With Russia, you know, they'll have these guys and then all of a sudden they're just, you know, they just stop wrestling and they just bring in another guy. So you never know what the reason behind a lot of it is.
You're saying he could have been on some Mexican supplements at the 2016 Olympics. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I am pretty certain he was, but you know, I'm no expert.
So let's focus on the top 3 guys because they're some of the most well-known guys wrestling right now. You have Sidikov from Russia, who beat JB in the quarters last year at the Worlds, and again, I've said this about 1 million times. I've posted it over social. One of the best 45 seconds of wrestling you'll see. JB, classic JB, takes Sidikov down. Well, first of all, Sidikov is ahead. JB gets like a last-second takedown, then with 5 seconds left, Sidikov gets a push-out. I mean, just freaking really gritty performance. And then Sidikov goes on to beat Chamizo, who's a Cuban wrestling for Italy, coached by a Russian living in New York.
That's that age-old story, right?
Seriously. But those are the 3 guys. Chamizo from Italy, Sidikov from Russia, then JB, obviously. we know the seeds are going to pan out on this one, fortunately. Chamizo will be on the top side by himself, and then JB and Sidakov will be on the bottom side. Is there anyone else even worth talking about in this weight?
You know, I mean, I think the Georgian, Kenchikazi, is the number 4 seed. He's pretty solid. You know, you have Bexad, but I don't think any of those are good guys, but I just don't think that they will challenge those top 3. I think the top 3 will be, you know, I think JB and Sidakov will meet in the semis, and the winner will get Chamizo. I mean, there's other guys in there.
And Chamizo's what, a 2-time world champ? Has he won it more than that? Or?
Yeah, two-time gold and 2-time, I want to say 2-time bronze. I think he's a bronze at the Olympics. Yeah, I think he's 2-time gold and 2-time bronze. So, you know, I mean, it's going to be an awesome weight. This is another one that everybody's looking forward to. I mean, I'm going to take JB. You know, it's been kind of known. I mean, they talked about that as no guys beat him twice. So I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to say, you know, JB's going to have a tough road, though. You know, who knows who he's going to get drawn into him, and then he's going to have to beat Cynic. He's going to have to beat both the guys, you know. So, Chamizo doesn't scare me as much. I feel like JB has kind of a read on how to beat him and has done it multiple times now. And so the Sidakov one is going to be the one that. Yeah, but I'm taking JB. You know, he's a gamer.
Gamer, man. I love, you know, who doesn't love JB? But I was watching the Sidakov Chamizo finals. And like, dude, Chamizo is just so good at defense. It's the weirdest thing you've seen.
Yeah.
It's not like a Ben Askren funk either. It's like an explosive hip hop when you get in there. And, you know, but to your point, he could lose early. I just don't see Sidakov losing unless it's the JB.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, he you know, ever since he's kind of popped on the scene, he's barely lost at all.
Dominant.
Yeah, he's been, you know, he won a very tough bracket last year, obviously, the hard way, beating Chamizo and Burroughs, and so you know, and he hasn't lost since. So
right,
it's gonna be a hell of a match, but I'm going JB.
Same, JB for sure. Okay, 79. Kyle Dake looks like the clear favorite here, reigning world champ. Ghazi from Russia, who beat Dake at the Oregon, and then Dake ended up teching him in the semis at the Worlds last year. He's out. You got the Iranian in there. What do we have at this weight, Coach?
Yeah, it's again not a real deep weight. I mean, I think Dake will just blister his way through this weight pretty easily. You know, Hasanov is a guy, he's been around for a while. He was silver versus Dake last year, so I think you have him. You mentioned the Iranian, Timur. He's a solid guy. The Russian, Nabiev, he's probably a tier below a lot of the other guys on their team. You know, he's had some age level success, a junior world champ, U23 second, but yeah, I mean, I think this is Dake all the way.
Dake all the way. I think we can move on quick from this one. So, I mean, pretty clear here. Dake is the guy. He's the man. Super explosive. Probably one of the best talents we've ever had. 86. Yeah. This is a weight where Pat Downey's slowly winning me over. I really got to say, sometimes he turns me off, sometimes not, but I like how he speaks his mind, and he's not there's a trend right now in wrestling. It's not a bad trend, but there's a trend that all the good wrestlers are these holy rollers, and I just like that Downey is a little bit off the cuff. You know, he's definitely not that.
You like the bad boys.
A little bit. I mean, sometimes I feel like, there's nothing wrong with I just never realized how many wrestlers were like diehard religious people until like the last 5 years. It seems like they all are now, and that's great. But Downey shakes it up, baby. And
he's definitely different than most of the guys we have.
I mean, he'll go on Twitter and tell someone, to fuck off, no problem. I saw it yesterday with the Greco guys, and I loved it. I like him, and I also like Reese Humphrey a lot and what they're doing out there at the New Jersey RTC. But
for sure.
But just as a quick recap, so 86 last year, DT wins it, and their first round has one of the toughest draws he could have had. Yes, Donnie Cherati from Iran, he was down big in that match, somehow came back, and just put together an unbelievable tournament. Obviously, he's out. So if Downey medals, he has a bye to the finals of the trials. So, I mean, a lot at stake here. I have Cherati from Iran winning it. Who else is in the mix besides Iran at this weight?
Yeah, Trotty's definitely the favorite. The Russian at this weight is a guy that has never been on their team, but I think he will be right in the mix to be a finalist or a medalist. Nafanov. Mm-hmm. He's a good guy, junior world champ. He beat Valencia back in 2017. The Russians have put out a couple different guys the last few years, Valiev and Krugliev, and he was the nod this year. So I think that they like him quite a bit. I think he'll be right in there for a medal. You have a couple other guys, Shabano from Belarus is older, but he's coming up from 74 and 79. Tori Blanca from Cuba, another guy that's kind of older. The one that I'm kind of interested in is the Indian, Deepak Puna. He's the 4 seed, so he's going to be up at the top. This is another really, really big bracket. So getting up on that top side is pretty helpful. Now he was a cadet champ and a junior champ this year, and then they're putting him in the senior bracket as well. Second at Yasser Dogu. So he's another young guy, similar to Yamaguchi, where I'm kind of interested to see where he's at. They're both junior champs this year. Mm-hmm. Are they ready to have success at the senior level, or are they still a year away and maybe guys that you'll look at next year in Tokyo and say, okay, now they're ready.
Yeah.
So it's smart. It's smart for India, I think, to put a guy in there like that to get his feet wet at the senior level before Tokyo.
Yep. No question. And India's, they don't have the most success every year, but wrestling's a huge focus in that country, and I love all the things they're doing to kind of build it up. They have a pro league, it looks like, of some sort. So pretty cool what they do. And sometimes I look at this weight and I realize that it's a lot deeper than I thought, just because DT was the guy and he's so good. But if you look at this weight, man, Cherati from Iran was the Olympic champ. And then you have the guy from Belarus, 2-time bronze, 2018, 2017. You got the guy from Turkey, the 2018 world silver. You got a couple of junior champs. I mean, there's a really deep weight.
Yeah. And one of the best guys, Nafanov from Russia. He's mostly age level medals, but I think he'll have a lot of success too. So yeah, it's a deep weight. Viaziri Gostiayev is. He's been a Euro silver 3 times. So yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be an interesting weight there. I think you got everybody probably picks Cherati, and then after that, it's, who knows where Downey will fall in there. And, he was a junior silver, so hopefully he can catch lightning in a bottle and get on a good run there as well.
Man, if the Russians drawn into Cherati, good Lord, that would be awesome.
Yeah, Cherati would, you'd have to be upset about these draws the last 2 years.
Oh my God, unbelievable. Okay, 92 kgs. It's a non-Olympic weight. Jaden Cox, the man, one of the best in the world right now, in my opinion.
I agree.
He's got another Iranian. I'm not super familiar with this guy, Karimi.
Karimi, yeah. Karimi was a guy who I remember watching him wrestle. He actually wrestled Sajilayev a few years back. Maybe it's like 2015 Worlds or something like that when he was a little younger. And I was like, oh man, this Karimi, he's going to be pretty good. And then, like the Iranians do, he was kind of hurt, kind of fell off for a few years. He's been bronze twice, but now he seems to be kind of back and healthy and doing better. Now I still favor Cox big time. I think he's probably one of the strongest favorites in any weight class. But yeah, Kareemi's a tough guy.
And you don't see Russia having any, like their guy, God knows how you pronounce this, but like he doesn't, I'm looking at his credentials, not even like world level medals here.
No.
They're pulling up tournaments like the Ali Aliv, which I'm not super familiar with. The Medved's a good tournament, but you don't see a lot here with this guy. Who's been their guy here?
No real significant tournament wins for him. I mean, I think this is probably one of their weakest weights. So this is definitely a weight where hopefully, he gets drawn into somebody tough and doesn't score him any team points, and Cox can win it, and it'll be a good swing weight for the Americans as far as the team weight race goes. But he's probably one of their worst guys.
You know what's interesting is the guy from, who is this guy? Azerbaijan. I kind of went down a rat hole on him. Won the Tbilisi. He's from Dagestan, U23 world champ, but Cox teched him at the Dogu last year. So I don't know. Maybe keep an eye on that guy. Whenever I hear someone's from Dagestan and they won Urigan, that scares me a little bit. So
like you said, U23 champs. I mean, those guys. That is a tough tournament. So guys that win there, you can, it's easy to prognosticate they're going to at least have some success at this level.
For sure. So we'll keep an eye on him. Let's go Cox. Big fan of that guy. 97 kg. There's only two people in this bracket as far as I'm concerned.
That's right.
Snyder and Sadulayev, man. Let's hope to the wrestling gods this goes down. It very well could. Snyder's the 1 seed. Sadulayev's the 2 seed. I mean, Sadulayev is, I think, the best wrestler in the world at any weight right now. I had Tervel on the podcast about 2 weeks ago. Heavy name drop. But he said, the one thing they haven't seen is if Sadulayev can beat Snyder in a 6-minute match. So that's what I want to see. I mean, we saw him get tired 2 years ago. Last year, we didn't really see that. We didn't have an opportunity to see that. And so that's what I want to see, Dude,
if he can hold up.
He pinned Snyder on like the old man elbow roll, like a move my grandpa was showing me in the living room when I was like in kindergarten, like the elbow pinch. It's like, but he held him there with that for a long time.
I know, it was crazy. I cannot believe he was able to hold Snyder there, just by having that elbow, but he did, and it was pretty impressive.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we're all going to pick Snyder at this weight, but I mean, do you realistically think he can beat Sadulayev?
Yeah, I do. I think Snyder is wrestling really well right now. I mean, it looks like he's moving well. It's hard. I mean, you look at Sadulayev, he's going to go down as one of the greatest ever when it's all said and done, probably. I mean, the guy never loses, and the guy barely ever gets scored on. I mean, it's really insane, the run that he's been on. But Snyder's beaten me before. Obviously, in my head, I probably would have to lean Sadulayev, but in my heart, I'm going, Captain America all the way.
Is the Cuban going at this weight? I feel like Snyder's had some battles with that guy.
Well, the one that Snyder, Otakazi, the Georgian, that is the 4 seed, has actually had some tough.
That's not who I'm talking about. Perez, Salas Perez.
Oh, so I don't know if he is.
I don't think he's in
there
this year. Okay.
Or not. I don't think Perez is here this time.
Okay.
No, they didn't send one at 97.
Okay.
But Otakazi being the 4. He's given Snyder tough matches before. He might even beat him one time at World Cup years ago. I might be off on that, but so that's kind of a little concerning. But it's when Kyle has had a history of he loses matches during the season or during the year, but he doesn't lose matches at Worlds. When he comes to Worlds, he's usually ready. So Otakazi's given him tough matches before, but Snyder will be all the way this time.
No question. Last weight, heavyweight. Gwiz, a formidable, international guy at this weight. couple-time medalist. I know he's not the favorite. You got Agul, who's right up there. I mean, if it's not Gwiz, who do you see at this weight kind of as like the top-tier guys?
Well, I think this weight there's two clear top guys. It's Agul from Turkey and Petrashvili from Georgia. I think those guys, I wanted to say, I think those are the last like 5 world champs at this weight. Between those two guys, I think the last time somebody other than one of those has won has been like, 6 years ago or something now. So and they've kind of traded back and forth. Agul always kind of was beating him, but then Petrashvili has won a couple times. Now, they wrestled at Euros, and Agul won 7-0. So, in my opinion, Agul is one of those guys who's just like a crazy uber talent, but maybe isn't always as focused,
Got it, okay.
He has those years or tournaments where, maybe his shape doesn't look like it's quite so good. I think when he's dialed in, he's the guy there.
Okay.
But he and Petrashvili have gone back and forth. So I if I had to put money on it, I'd probably lean towards Agul. But those are the clear top 2 guys. And Gwiz is on the top side, so you like your chances there to at least make the semis, qualify the weight, wrestle for bronze. So.
Just
which he's done before.
When you look at Agul's results, 2013 world bronze, 2014, 2015, 2016 world champ, 2017 world silver, 2018 Euro champ, 2019 Euro champ. I mean, just unbelievable. And then, in 18 when he didn't win, Petrashvili won. So, man, it's going to be a fun weight. I really think Gwiz can get in here and get a medal, depending on where I think he's seated, right? So.
Yeah, he's seated. He's 4th, so he'll be up top. So
okay.
He'll be in a good spot. If he's just gotta, if he can make the semis there against Gino, then then right there you're qualifying your weight and you're going to be wrestling for a medal. So I think that'd be awesome for Gwiz.
For sure. So as we wrap it up here, how many medals for the U.S. and maybe we can just quickly go throughout the weights for the U.S. I'll go first. So, Fix, man, I want to say yes, but actually, let me go down heaviest first because it's easier that way.
Okay.
Gwiz, getting a medal for sure. What do you think?
I'd say, Gwiz medal.
Okay. Snyder, medal. Cox, medal. Downey, I'm going to say no medal.
Yeah, I agree.
Dake gets a medal. JB gets a medal.
Yep.
So that's 5, right?
Puts us at 5, yep.
That
puts us at 5.
And then we get into a real hodgepodge. You got Green, Zane, Graf, and Fix. I'd like to think one of those 4 dudes is going to get a medal, but you just never know.
Yeah, I agree. I think between those 4, one of those guys will come out of there with a medal. So I'm going to say 6 medals for the Americans. I don't know who's going to win, who's going to get it down below, but I would think out of those 4 guys, I'd be pretty surprised if none of them got a medal. I think out of 4 guys there, we can squeeze 1 medal out of those.
Yep. And it's a shame we won't be able to count Michik if he medals because he is an American, but
I know.
We'll see, man. So
yeah, how do you think Russia feels? They probably have that happen.
Dude,
10
that's
times
insane.
Every year.
Oh my God. And then the last thing we'll say again is implications for this tournament. If you I didn't know this. I thought you had a medal to qualify the weight for the Olympics. But top, if you're in that medal match, you qualify your weight for the Olympics. If you don't, you have to qualify it at your Continental Championship.
Continental. Yeah, there's Continental, and then I think there's only one last chance. Yeah. But the nice thing about the Continentals this year is I think they are going to seed the top 2. So that's helpful obviously Pan Am's is a weaker Continental, and you're really looking at the Cubans and the Americans there. And if you're seeding the top 2 and they get on the opposite of the bracket, that's pretty helpful for the Americans for qualifying the weights. But I think we'll get a lot of qualified. I think we'll get a lot of them qualified here. What we don't, we can qualify down at Pan Am's, and with only one last chance, that you don't really want to wait till that, because there's going to be plenty of guys that you're like, oh my gosh, this guy hasn't qualified their country yet, and he's there. I mean, it's hard to predict right now, but trust me, there'll be a lot of tough guys that could beat at that last chance. And
then the thing we'll talk about on our recap show, which we'll do in a week or 2 weeks here, is if you medal at this event, you get a bye to the Olympic team trials, which is huge in the U.S. considering how deep these weights are now when you merge the 10 weight classes into 6. So really excited to see what happens there.
And even at the non-Olympic weights, I think you get a bye to the semis of whatever Olympic weight you go to.
Right.
So for a guy like Dake and Cox, I mean, obviously those guys are going to medal. So, they'll be able to go to the semis of whatever weight class they choose to go to.
Right. Well, it's going to be fun. Really appreciate you taking some time for us, Coach Case, and we're going to come back after the Worlds. And we can only just hope that the U.S. does well. We can also only hope that Ethan Ball's fantasy team finishes dead last. That's my only hope for this week.
I think everybody can agree to cheer for that.
I think so.
Yeah, I gotta give a little shout out to my co-wrestling buddies there. Coach Gatto, he told me he's gonna kill me if I don't, bring them up and give them a little love. So shout out to those guys, and hey, appreciate you having me on, and looking forward to watching these guys at Worlds.
Greatly appreciate it, man. Thank you. We'll talk soon. And all great things must come to an end. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, give us a review, give us a rating, and share this with your friends. It would mean the world to us. Thanks for listening to Wrestling Changed My Life.